Hello everybody, my name is Reagan Brummett, and today I'm going to be going through my presentation of hemoglobin and oxygen transport and how pH, CO2, and structural changes in the hemoglobin regulate the delivery of oxygen throughout our bodies. Hope you enjoy my presentation. Thank you. We'll begin with the basic concepts for this presentation. Red blood cells contain a protein called hemoglobin. This is in charge of transporting oxygen from our lungs to every tissue in our body. Hemoglobin is anything but a simple carrier, despite its apparent simplicity. Depending on its location, this responsive shape-shifting molecule adjusts to the demands of our body. The function of hemoglobin, how pH and carbon dioxide affect its shape, and how these elements guarantee that oxygen reaches the right place will all be covered in this presentation. Zooming in on hemoglobin structure, we're going to take a closer look at how the red blood cells carry oxygen in the blood. The hemoglobin protein inside them does this. There are 4 parts to each hemoglobin. Each one has a heme group in the middle that is red and has an iron atom in it. That iron sticks to oxygen right away. These subunits work together to either grab on oxygen or let it go. Hemoglobin is very useful because it can change between these states. Cooperative binding is what makes hemoglobin so special. When one oxygen molecule binds to a subunit, it changes shape just a little, which makes it easier for the next one to bind. Picture opening a door wider for each person that goes through. This makes it easier for the next person. The oxygen dissociation curve shows how hemoglobin's ability to bind to oxygen changes based on the situation. Changes in pH, temperature, CO2, and 2,3-DPG move the curve to the left to the right. pH is one of the most important things when it comes to hemoglobin. The lungs have a pH of about 7.4. This makes the hemoglobin have a R state. In this state, it has a strong connection with oxygen. However, when the hemoglobin gets to tissues that are even a little acidic or active, the pH drops. This makes hemoglobin change shape into the tin state, or T state. This makes it less likely to hold on to oxygen. Moving on to the next slide, the effect of Bohr and CO2's role. CO2 mixes with blood and makes carbonic acid. This acid then breaks down into hydrogen ions and bicarbonate. The extra hydrogen ions lower the pH. This causes hemoglobin to move from the T state, which we talked about in the last slide. What happens because of this? Hemoglobin helps release oxygen where it is most needed. This is where the physiological feedback systems come into play. This makes it possible for oxygen to be supplied at a cellular level. The next slide focuses on oxygen delivery and action and how O2 is released into tissues through low pH and high CO2. Because of high oxygen content and low CO2 levels, the lungs have a high pH. Hemoglobin absorbs oxygen and moves into a relaxed state. It passes through areas of the body with low pH and high CO2 levels on its way to the active muscles or organs. This results in the release of oxygen. This process is very important and meticulous. It is not random by any means. Oxygen is guided by chemical cues rather than floating around. Through pH regulation, changing from 7.4 to 7.3 may have a very significant impact. In order to maintain a pH level that is within a relatively narrow range, the body makes use of both its respiratory and metabolic systems, as seen on this slide. When you exercise, your body produces more carbon dioxide, which brings the pH level down. If you want to get rid of carbon monoxide, your lungs will breathe more quickly, and your kidneys will adjust with the amount of bicarbonate. As a result of various variations in the pH, the structure of hemoglobin is altered, which in turn alters the degree to which it is able to bind to or release oxygen. Under the supervision of this system, oxygen is transported to the appropriate location at the appropriate time. Coming to my conclusion slide, what hemoglobin does to meet the body's needs. And what does all this mean in general? Histoglobin is more than just a passive oxygen carrier. The shape of this biological sensor can change depending on where it is. It can effectively load oxygen into the lungs through cooperative binding. It can release oxygen exactly where tissues need it, because it changes shape in response to pH and CO2. The Bohr effect, the oxygen dissociation curve, and the regulation of pH are all connected processes that help keep life going. Also, it's amazing that a change in pH of only 0.1 units can make a noticeable difference in the amount of oxygen that is available to a human. It is an amazing and powerful system that is perfectly created and powered by chemical reactions. It is one of the best examples of how biology and chemistry work together perfectly to keep all of us alive. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation.